The changes that the people who are being coached can make, because they just see it. And they can just change it. So I was doing work in the UK, and I was doing training with some folks who manage group homes. And one of the pieces of training that we do is something called the morning ritual. So we get people to write down their morning ritual. We're not going to have time to do it today, but it's fun. You get people to write down your morning ritual, so you write yours down, and then you pass it to the person sitting next to you and say, this is your new morning ritual. How many of you have done that already? How many of you have done that already? Quite a few. And it's very powerful because people go, damn, I'm not doing that. You get up how early? I don't think so. You drink black coffee? Yuck. So there are all these little things. Now, sometimes there are improvements. I got rid of my kids. Got a new partner. But people look at it and go, oh, this really matters. So I did this with these women who were managing this group home, and I saw them about 6 months later. I was on a return trip, and they said, oh, we have to tell you. And I said, tell me what? And they said, that morning ritual, that has made a huge change in Janet's life. I said, well, tell me about it. They said, well, you know, we manage a group home that has 4 people, all of whom need physical assistance. All of them need assistance in the morning. And Janet is one of those very slow to really wake up in the morning and doesn't want to talk to people until she's on her second cup of tea. How many of you are like that? How many of you are like, don't talk to me before caffeine? How many of you are the spring from the bed cheerful people? Well, Janet's housemates were described as chirpy. She lives with the chirpy people. And they have shared common areas where they're all getting a physical assistance and getting going in the morning at the same time. So if you people who are going, don't talk to me till after caffeine, what would it be like to be surrounded by chirpy people in the morning? One of your definitions of hell. And it was certainly Janet's definition of hell. And how many of you, if your morning is ruined, it ruins your day? That was her. And she shared her displeasure widely and had quite the reputation. And after going through this training, these women went back and said, so Janet, what if you got up 15, 20 minutes earlier and you're in and out of the shared areas before the chirpy people show up? You got a head start. She said, brilliant. Now, if she'd been American, she'd have said, awesome. I'm not sure Canadian. But she said, brilliant. And she would be sitting at the kitchen table, having her second cup of tea when the chirpy people arrived, and she was perfectly happy to share a conversation. And it not only changed her morning, but it changed her life. And that kind of simple change is the kind of change that coaches can make. People see when they just do it. And it can be simple to us, profound to the person. But then coaches will also notice stuff like, have you ever worked in a house where people hated each other? Do people get to move? That requires, when it's discovered, that leaders listen and act on what they hear. And administratively, it is remarkably inconvenient. Helping people move means that you're going to have this whole cascade, because you got to still make the budget work. You still got to make payroll. You still got to have coverage. One agency I was working with, there was somebody who really hated one of his roommates, and I'm going, he's got to move. One of these two people need to move. Stop having behavior programs. Because no behavior program is going to cause them to like each other better. And you're getting high staff turnover because people don't like the work, or they're mediating, people who just sincerely dislike one another. Do something. So the executive director grumbled and said, okay. And I came back months later, and he said, you are a real troublemaker to me. I'm going, good. Tell me about it. And he said, 8 people moved. He said, because I didn't have any place for somebody to move. There was no vacancy, so I had to go and ask everybody, you like who you live with? You know? There was a bunch of people who said no. Then I had to do something with what I learned. So people had to be able, so he said, we finally figured it out, but 8 people moved. He said that was such an administrative pain. And then he smiled and said, I'll do it again. Because he said, people are happier. Fewer behavior programs. But what it really means, what you really have to keep in mind, is if you want this to work, you have to be willing to be a change target as well as a change agent. Everybody I work with goes, I want to be a change agent, please. I am a change agent. I am leading change in my organization. I am advocating for people. Everybody wants to be and identifies themselves as a change agent. But how many of you see yourselves as a change target? Because if you start going, we're going to ask people who they want to live with and act on what we hear, and you're a manager, it's going to have some changes happen. If you start looking at the way this works, you might discover there's a group home you cannot fix. You're going to have to close it. That changes the funding. That changes management. When you start moving people out of segregated day services, when they start getting jobs, when they start spending more time in the community. I used to run a day program. I used to run a psychiatric day treatment center. I could do management by noise level. As soon as the noise level dropped precipitously, I was up out of my chair, headed for the floor because things were about to go bad. And you could certainly do management by wandering around. You could just go and observe how people were interacting with other people, and you could have some ideas about what was going well, what would need to change. As soon as we started getting people out, I'm not seeing them. I don't have eyes on the staff. So I need to find other ways to be able to say how people are doing. I may need other ways to fund. Because all of us who are advocates are pushing for employment. Saying people need jobs.